So in this lecture, we mainly concentrate on the relationship of homeopathic repertory with organ of medicine. Then, what is the objective of learning this topic? The Rizwan's favorite objective is getting in the exam. So this is a very important exam-oriented objective that it is usually asked for long answer questions for 10 marks. Describe relationship of homeopathic repertory with organ of medicine. Then each relationship will be or can be asked for 10 marks or 5 marks. There will be certain oral questions and short answer questions. So these are all exam oriented objectives. So those who are interested in exams understand this topic carefully, and those who are interested academically and those who are interested in practicing homeopathy. This topic is very important because once we learn this relationship of homeopathic repertory with organ of medicine, we can overcome the limitation of repertory subject which we have just studied, and by the end of your academic career, throughout the various cases of repertorization, will come to know what are the limitations of repertory. So this academic objective of this topic is that after learning this topic, you will be able to overcome the limitations of repertory. Now these are just enumeration of the various points where repertory and homeopathic materia medica is well related with each other. So repertory and organ of medicine is related with respect to laws, with respect to the various principles, with respect to philosophy, with respect to search of similimum, with respect to symptomatology, with respect to potency, posology, follow-up analysis, and last but not least is that without organ of medicine, we cannot select the rubrics proper for accurate repertorization. And lastly, the case taking is very important aspect of homeopathy. Very important aspect of using repertory is only narrated in the organon. So we will see this various relationships one by one. So first of all, we will study the relation with respect to the laws. So first is with respect to the law of similia. Now we all know law of similia is the most important foundation of homeopathy. This is because of this law of similia, the homeopathy differs from other science of medicine. So according to this law of similia, what is expected is that after taking the case, after getting the history or after getting a summary about the natural disease, one must find out its counterpart. One must find out the other similar counterpart of this natural disease, that is artificial drug disease from homeopathic materia medica. And this matching of natural drug disease and artificial drug disease is very, very essential according to law of similia. Now, when we match this image of natural disease and image of artificial drug disease, then only this law of similia becomes operable. It becomes operational law. Otherwise, it will become a law only in the books of organ of medicine and philosophy. So, repertory is a tool to make this law operational with the help of various repertories. It is possible really to make this law of similia operational, and this is the relation with respect to the similia, that without repertory, that law of similia is becoming operational is practically impossible. And we have seen that without repertory, applying this law of similia will increase more chances of error, and these errors will cause defame to this law of similia. So when you use repertory, it makes this law operational more accurately, more precisely, and the fame of homeopathy is increased. Then another relationship is with respect to with respect to the philosophy. Now, what happens in the philosophy? So, before going to that, we'll first study this important slide which I missed. Yes, this slide. That what is homeopathic repertory? Homeopathic repertory is nothing but if you study the syllabus distribution of homeopathic repertory, it is nothing but 50% is organon and 50% is repertory. Only the 50% part is of repertory. And the rest of the things is all and all philosophy, all and all organon of medicine, and because of that repertory, this philosophy, this organon is becoming operational. Then we have studied relation with respect to similia. Now we'll study relation with respect to the philosophy. Now all this philosophy is given in the books of organon, the various literature written by Samuel Hahnemann, various literature written by various stalwarts of philosophy like H.A. Roberts, like James Tyler Kane, Stuart Lord, Carol Dunham, Oscar Boric, Bowling Hussein. So there are so many number of philosophers. So all these philosophers, all these stalwarts has written something in the books. But this philosophy becomes operational. This philosophy will be only applied when it will be only converted only with the help of repertory, or otherwise the whole books of philosophy will just remain in the book. And because of the application and conversion of all this philosophy through the medium of repertory, we can apply philosophical concepts like the concept of sick, and this concept is practically and solely applied in the Kent's repertory by the great stalwart James Tyler Kent. You open any page of Kent's repertory, any book explaining Kent repertory, this word, the sick, comes the first important word to understand Kent's repertory. And Dr. James Tyler Kent has converted this whole philosophy of the sick practically into the Kent's repertory. Then another philosophy like philosophy of mental general. Again, it was in the version number 212. Two or three important lines were written by Hahnemann. That the similimum, what is most important in choice of selecting the similimum, is a state of mental disposition is most important, and every homeopath must try to differentiate the various patients on the list of mental general. It was written even since the fifth edition of Organ of Medicine by Samuel Hahnemann. But by the time it is only the year 1896 where this guidelines given in the organon has become operational, where Dr. Kent has demonstrated how with the help of mental general, how with the help of various mental symptoms mental generals indexed in the mind chapter of Kane Repertory, how that aphorism will become operational. Otherwise, it was very difficult, and the credit of making this aphorism operational goes to the masters like Dr. James Tyler Kane. So there are so many philosophies that are converted into the repertory only because of development of repertory. So there is one more concept of susceptibility. Susceptible individuals, possessions, etc., miasm. But all these things are only converted into repertory, and once it is converted into repertory, the practical application has become more important. This is the relationship of repertory with philosophy. Then the third point is the relationship of repertory with respect to the principle. So there are so many principles of homeopathy which are scattered in the organon of medicine, like principle of individualization, principle of probability of symptoms, principle of ideal cure. Now, why this ideal cure I am emphasized? Because this ideal cure should be on the basis of easily and comprehensible principle, and how the principles are easy and how these principles are easily understandable, and how it is easily can be applied by each and every homeopathic physician, irrespective of who is a beginner or he is experienced, is only possible because of the various repertories which are practically giving meaning to this easily comprehensible principle. Then so many concepts of totality of symptoms are there in the philosophy. There is Hahnemann's concept of totality of symptoms. There is Kane's concept of totality of symptoms. There is Stuart Slow's concept of totality of symptoms. There is Bonemosen's concept of totality of symptoms. But all this totality of symptoms, this word has been explored and made more practical by the various authors of repertory. And accordingly, this aphorism number 7, it just writes 2 lines. The totality of symptom is outwardly reflected picture of internal essence of disease. And this essence of disease, what exactly it is, how to understand this disease, how to apply this essence of disease practically on the patient, most of its explanation is, you will find it is more simplified way and most narrated in the various repertory, and also by the various stalwarts of repertory. If you read especially the introductory part of all the repertories, every author of repertory is contributing to this important definition of property of symptom. What exactly is this essence? And in this, according to the essence, there comes the various concepts of totality of symptom only by the various philosophers of repertory, and the word totality of symptom has become more practicable only with help of repertory. So repertory is a tool for making this totality of symptoms, making this idea clear, and this principle of individualization, making it very easy, making it universal in the application by all homeopathic physicians, whether it is a new or whether it is a experience. So to summarize, these various principles of homeopathy are more explored are more made practical, are more made easy only by the repertory. And repertory has proved as an important tool to apply this individualization principles of individualization, principles of probability of symptom, principle of ideal cure in the sick individual, and thereby the homeopathy has become more famous and more accepted by the large number of public. So far we have studied relationship with respect to laws, relation with principle, and now relation. What is the relation of repertory in search of similimum? Now this similimum, there are various facets of this similimum that some author says that the search of similimum is an art. Some author says that search of similimum is a science. Somebody says that the search of similimum must be only possible only by applying certain logic, and there was no standardized procedures for the search of similimum. And when we come to the subject of repertory, all these facets of similimum like art, science, logic, all these are explained very well by the use of repertory and explained very well by the authors of repertory. So there are two aspects of the similimum, artistic and scientific. And there is a great article written in the preface of third edition of Kane's repertory, where Dr. Kane said that just just going ahead in this artistic way of prescription is just a societal policy, and it must be complemented, or it must be balanced by the process of repertorization, nothing but the science of homeopathy. And these two features which are used in search of similimum, like artistic prescription, scientific prescription, they must go hand in hand, and then only it is possible to have a perfect similimum. Not only art is important, not only science is important, but the repertory takes both these aspects of finding similimum into its operational way and gives due importance of both this art and science. Now, why it happens if you go to the materia medica, the organon, they will speak only about this, how the prescription should be artistic, how once you see the patient within fractions of seconds, just by looking at him, how he walks, how he talks, the sick images must be remained into the mind. They go on up to the point of intuitional prescription. But the author like James Tyler Kane, pioneer in the field of repertory, like James Tyler Kane, very clearly says that this artistic prescription must be complemented by the another aspects of homeopathy, that is the scientific aspect. So, in search of similimum, again, repertory helps us. Then, before the development of repertory, or before the evolution of repertory, there was no standard process for searching the similimum. The various physicians, the various philosophers were following their own ways depending upon the clinical, their own clinical experience. Somebody giving more importance to causation, another physician giving more importance to general modality, another physician giving more importance to causative modality, and there was somebody giving more importance to the pathology. So there was no practical end to this topic, which process of selection or which process should be followed in search of similimum. But with the evolution of repertory, all this discussion has stopped, standardized, or the repertory given a standardization to this process of searching of similimum, that before you search for the similimum, it must be gone through the standard process of repertorization, and then only one can find the similimum with more and more accuracy. And the real credit of making this process of search of similimum more standardized goes to the repertory. Then there is one more important facet of search of similimum is we require kind of logic. Now, when we study the logic, there are two basic types of logic. One is a deductive logic and another is inductive logic. And then deductive logic means what? General to particular, and inductive logic means particular to general. And in competitive philosophy, this inductive logic is even more important. That is going from particular inference and making it general inference. But in the repertory emphasizes that in search of similimum, not only inductive logic is useful, but the deductive logic is also useful. And this in search of similimum, so deductive logic is nothing but the process of generalization, where we go from a general event to the particular event. And the process of inductive logic is, or the process of inductive logic is the process of individualization, where we are going from particular to general. So remember this. I'm again repeating. There are some confusions in this logic. There are two types of logic which are essential in search of similimum, that is deductive logic and inductive logic. And when we use the repertory, both these logics are followed in search of similimum. Dr. Bonimusen has come out with this process of generalization, and this generalization process is nothing but the process of inductive logic. That is, what is applicable to the part is applicable to the whole, is the inductive logic. And when it comes to the Kant's philosophy, Kant goes from general symptom to the particular symptom. Have you understood how this both the logics which are mentioned in the books of philosophy, both have been applied in by the repertory for the process of searching the similimum? I think it is clear now. So remember, each and every aspect of similimum, like art, science, logic, standardization, procedure, all is enriched and it is more and more benefited by the development of repertory. So far, I have studied with respect to laws, with respect to relation with respect to principle, and relation with respect to the similimum. So tomorrow we will study relation with respect to symptomatology, because the next lecture is your below lecture.